United Kingdom Prime Minister Keir Starmer has told press that no agreement has been reached shortly after the 20-minute-long meeting he had with President Joe Biden on whether to permit Ukraine to use the UK and USA Army Tactical Missiles System (ATACMS) and Storm Shadow missiles deep inside Russia. According to Politico News Network, the USA President Joe Biden and UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer brushed off Russian President Vladimir Putin's threats he had issued on Thursday as the two-country presidents met on Friday to discuss Ukraine's pleas to use British-supplied missiles against targets on Russian soil. Asked what he made of Putin saying such an act would put NATO countries at war with Russia, the US president told reporters, "I don't think much about Vladimir Putin." In response to a shouted question asking how soon he was prepared to let Ukraine fire missiles deeper into Russia, Biden added, "We're going to discuss that now." Speaking after the meeting, Starmer said no final decision had been taken on the Storm Shadow missiles, and hinted further developments may follow at the gathering of the UN General Assembly later this month. "Will obviously pick up again in Hungary in just a few days' time with a wider group of individuals," he said. Starmer insisted this wasn't a meeting about a particular capability, but added, "We've come to a strong position." He denied his focus on the next few weeks and months was about securing tactics on Ukraine before the US presidential election, and a potential victory for Donald Trump, who has described Putin as a genius. "No, I think if you look at both the Ukrainian situation and the Middle East, it is obvious that in the coming weeks and months there are really important potential developments, whatever timetables are going on in other countries," he said. The two leaders met one-to-one for around 20 minutes in the Oval Office before a longer group meeting with aides on strategic challenges including Ukraine and the Middle East. The UK Prime Minister earlier did not rule out allowing Ukraine to use Storm Shadow missiles despite Putin's threats, telling reporters Thursday, "Russia started this conflict. Russia illegally invaded Ukraine. Russia can end this conflict straight away." Officials on both sides of the Atlantic stressed repeatedly that there would be no decision moment on Storm Shadow missiles from Friday's meeting. White House National Security Communications Advisor John Kirby said, "I wouldn't be looking for an announcement today about long-range strike capabilities inside Russia. There's no change to our policy with respect to that," Politico stated in its report. Before now, some U.S. officials had said that no announcement on a decision was expected from the meeting the two leaders were expected to hold on Ukraine's use of the weapons. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky had repeatedly expressed his frustration at the continued restrictions on the use of Western weaponry against Russian targets on Friday ahead of the talks. In a statement posted on X, Zelensky said, after meeting with Foreign Secretary David Lammy and his U.S. counterpart Antony Blinken earlier this week, there should be no unanswered questions about why Ukraine needs sufficient long-range capabilities, adding that Kyiv wants to use the long-range missiles to stop the wave of glide bombs being launched at cities and towns in Ukraine by aircraft flying from air bases far away from the front line. In his statement, Mr. Zelensky said, "When we asked for these systems, we repeatedly hear, we are working on it. Time passes, but Russian missiles and Iranian drones continue to terrorize our skies and our people." Former UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson backed granting their use at a meeting with Mr. Zelensky on Friday, saying, "It is obvious that they should be able to use Storm Shadow, Scalp and ATACMS as fast as possible against targets in Russia itself. Every day that goes by means more pointless and tragic loss of Ukrainian lives." His words came after the current Prime Minister backed Ukraine's right to defend itself as he traveled to the US but said Britain does not seek conflict with Russia. "Ukraine has the right to self-defense, and we've obviously been absolutely fully supportive of Ukraine's right to self-defense," Keir Starmer stated.
Osazuw bringing you the news in a more digital way.